Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
Why do you say it all sad and dramatically?
I say it differently every time. I don't know how to.
No, you don't.
Not every time, but some of them. I do.
Okay. So I am no longer a social worker.
Good, because I don't think that was a fitting job for you.
It's of my own choosing. I just want to preface this conversation with that. I called my own shot. I will say this. Social workers are undervalued. They are underpaid. They are underappreciated. They get shit on constantly, and the workload is ungodly because there is a never-ending supply of people that are all kinds of fucked up and need help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically being a social worker is like trying to put out a forest fire one bucket of water at a time.
Per person or just one person, one bucket?
The whole grand scheme of things. Each tree in that forest is a person that you're helping. A little for you, a little for them. And basically, everything I did, every visit to a client, every phone call, every email, every report to the courts, anything I did, I had to bill for. So aside from doing the work, I have to get into a computer program and I have to bill accurately and with notes about what I'm doing, how long it took me, who I talked to, what was said, where I went, what we talked about when I saw them, shit of that nature. It's mind-numbing. And because we bill places for the time, we have contracts with counties for these clients because, you know, the cases are in county courts. There are deadlines. You have to bill all your shit for 1 month, within that month, or up to 2 business days after the end of that month. Because after that second business day, they take everything we've done and they print out a report, and then we go through it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure there's no redundancies or errors. And then we send it off to the counties to pay us for our time. So there's that constant, never-ending fucking clock of get your shit done. And I can tell you, I was never caught up. You can never get caught up. Because with that forest fire analogy, you're putting out this tree, well, 3 others started burning in the time it took you to run to get the bucket of water for the one. I could have all my shit billed, except for like a handful of phone calls or emails that I'm waiting for updates on, because you have to build them together for the sake of ease of observation if we get audited. And suddenly this pops up. Every day there could be a crisis. Some days there'd be 3 or 4 crises. And it's just like, God damn it, can I ever fucking get a break here? And the thing of it is that even if your clients die, they just give you another client. We get new cases all the time. So it's an assembly line of humanity. It's just work all the fucking time. And people are like, take a vacation, take some time off. I'm like, I can't. I personally feel like I can't. And I was not alone in this mindset in the office that if you take a week off to recharge your batteries, we all have our own caseloads. We all do our own work. Nobody does our work for us unless we ask, and they're most likely not going to have time to help us because they have their own specific clients and workload. So you could take a week off, right? And you come back, and you have everything that you have to do now going forward, and all the shit that transpired in the week that you were not there, that you have to catch up on. Now, when you're not at work, say you're sick for a week, or you go on vacation, somebody else does your fucking job, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a shared workload. When I worked at the jail, and I've said this on the show before, I go home at a certain time. Somebody else takes over. If there's UAs that didn't get done, if there's paperwork that needs to get talked to somebody about, that shit's done by the next shift. They don't just say, oh, well, he just went on his 3 days off now, so when he comes back to the jail, you can give him your UA to test you for drugs. Better hold your piss for 72 hours. That shit doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So I was so fucking worn down because they stopped letting us visit our clients at the end of March. They officially said in April, you're all going to start working from home. You can only visit your clients via telephone or video conference over the internet. That took some getting used to. But it did become the new normal. So I was seeing these people, on video conference, as many as I could, as often as I could. But the problem is that without going to see them in person, without having that time on the road to kind of decompress, the job wears on you. And Al Roker said this about the pandemic. We're not just working from home, we're living at work. So I would wake up every day, I'd feed the kids, I'd work out, I'd shower, I'd sit down. Sometime in that space between waking up and when I officially sit down, I'd answer some emails, I'd take some phone calls, I'd do some shit. But anyways, I would work all fucking day. I kid you not. I might not start until 10 o'clock and say I'm going to work 10 to 6. And what I'm really doing is working off and on from fucking 9 a.m. till sometimes midnight. And it was like that for months. And this sucks. I don't get to see the clients. We complain to the company about it. They're like, well, tough shit. We want to protect the health of our employees and their families. But really what they're saying is, for the sake of accountability and liability, they're not going to let us go out in the community. Even when the restrictions lightened up and other agencies were seeing their clients in person, masked up and socially distant, they wouldn't let us. And the company, in I believe it was August, officially said, you're going to be working from home through the end of calendar year 2020. Like, our CEO put out a video. And we're like, Jesus Christ, through the end of the year? And they weren't even going to reconsider letting us come back to the office and work all the time, reopening up the building, and going out to see clients until January. So we're like, so we probably won't be seeing anybody until March or April of next year. And you've got clients that are mentally ill, that are developmentally disabled. They really need to see you. That video screen where you see them and have that conversation, it helps, but it's not the fucking same. Some of them just want to shake your hand. Some of them just want to sit next to you. I used to go to day programs and sit with people and talk about how their day was going. I'd show up to some places and people I didn't even know were all excited to fucking see me. It was like Norm on Cheers. They'd shout my name and wave. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
That human contact, that bit of positivity, that recognition, as minuscule as it is what took the edge off the rest of the shit.
The small rewards.
It made stomaching all the phone calls and emails and other shit easier. But the thing of it is once we were working from home, we have to work or bill for a certain percentage of our time, or they get mad at us. It was 70% normally. They said, well, don't worry, you're working from home. We realize that your percentage of earning isn't going to be the same for generating revenue for the company because it was a nonprofit. The only way they could pay us is if we bring in money. And to bring in money, we have to work X amount of hours and earn all this shit for them to justify the payment from the counties for these clients in these cases.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, try to cultivate other means of meaningful engagement with your clients.
What?
We had a management change in February. It went from this guy that was my age to this gal that was 60. She comes from the business world. She could not have been any less fit to lead a social services outfit. Holy Christ. Just talks like a politician, doesn't seem to fucking care about anything. I remember when everything hit the fan with the beast in June. I told my direct supervisor about the CPS thing. I'm like, I'm going to tell the big boss too, just so she knows what's going on with me. I felt like I owed it to her as a professional courtesy. And I told her the story, and she just like stared blankly at me, like a fucking deer in the headlights. Almost like, why are you telling me this? I don't give a shit.
Probably why they put her in that position, to trim off the fat and make sure that people are getting paid.
Well, the reason that guy left the position is because he took a new spot leading another division. So a series of one retirement led to 3 promotions, and she got that job. And nobody liked her in this new job. She did not know what the fuck she was doing. She did not know how to talk to us. It was all like, it went from, all right, take care of your clients, get your work done, you'll be fine, to make sure that you're meeting your earning percentage. It was almost like a sales goal-driven corporate outfit. It fucking sucked.
Yeah, it sounds like that's how she was trying to approach it, because maybe someone higher up than her was just like, hey, let's make sure we're still getting our money even though we're not going anywhere.
I don't even know if the conversation was like that, other than that was her style.
I can guess that's probably what it is. Either that or, yeah, it could be her style. If she came from private sector and she had a position similar, that's what she's doing.
Now, it was an internal promotion. She led the other half of our department that dealt with trust funds for people that have, too much money to still be on the government teat, but that need the benefits. So she was running like the business side of our outfit. So then to be in charge of the whole shebang now, she doesn't. See,
that's where she's coming from. She's business. She doesn't see it as a personable thing. It's kind of where I get tied up with, because I'm still, even after being where I am for 10 years, I still have that mindset of what I had to do and how to do it when I did private industry traffic control.
Yeah.
And, kind of a little bit of how I mentioned, I'm a bit of a dick. I'll talk nice and polite a couple of times and, hey, buddy, can we do it this way? Let's try it this way. But if I don't see the results I want, I become a dick, which is why I don't think I even want to try for a higher position where I'm at, because I just don't have the tact for it. And it sounds like that's this lady's problem. She understood the business portion of it, the money, but she doesn't understand the personable side, the human side of it, which is the side that you were on.
And she's never done what we did. That was a big problem. She never had a caseload. She never worked with clients. She talked to clients and kind of was learning the ropes about what we do, but she never had to carry any of her own clientele to deal with their problems, to have that human connection. I don't think she saw it as important, because around August, we had our middle of the month staff meeting is when we would have it. And I lost my shit in the middle of a video call. I just said, I cannot do this anymore. I can't keep working from home. I can't take another month of this shit. Something needs to change, because I am stuck at home and my personal life has been tumultuous, and it's not my fault, but I am constantly awash in an ocean of my own problems while trying to deal with all of this. And I can't even escape from my house where all the shit goes down to go to the office to a different set of walls to stare at to do the work. Nobody wants to change it. I'm like, so really, it's either time for a change or I'm going to start shopping my resume elsewhere. I said that to our direct supervisors, not the big boss. And then I said, I'm going to mute myself for the rest of the meeting now, because I was getting emotional. Like, I almost rage crying. This job was so emotionally taxing. It was fucking ridiculous. Just my anxiety was on high all the time, because each day it's, fuck, what did I not get done today? What do I got going on tomorrow? Just this never-ending loop of shit. Basically, it's like trying to swim up a tidal wave. You're always going to get swept under. And then the best part is you got weekends to not do work. The problem is that on Sunday you start dreading tomorrow's Monday, and you've probably done a little bit of work on the weekend just to help yourself catch up, because you're always behind. And you're like, fuck, tomorrow's going to start a whole new week of shit, and I'm still behind. So I had said, what kills me is we do all this work for a month, all just so the calendar can reset. Nothing ever changes. Doesn't seem like many of the clients seem to make enough progress. It's always the same problems. And then they closed all the day programs. So my disabled clients, they couldn't fucking go and leave their home to go to a program. Some of them didn't understand why. I mean, let alone the problems that I'm having with my job. The people that I worked with, and I cared about a great many of them, and the adverse effects that being stuck at home all the time was having on a number of them was really starting to grate on me. That's why we thought that visiting them would be beneficial to both us and them. And we said to management, the big boss, a number of times, this is affecting our mental health. She didn't seem to care. It was always these fucking cookie cutter copy and paste answers. So that day I flipped out in the meeting. I shut my laptop. I said, fuck this. I just left the meeting. I came back a few minutes later, and the big boss was in the meeting now, because one of the direct supervisors was at the office, because we had limited office hours. She knocks on the wall and goes, I think you should probably come in on the meeting. Something's going on. And she got so pissed off at us telling her that we're sick of working from home and we want to see our clients, and she's not doing enough to try to help meet us halfway. She's like, fine, whatever, just come up with a plan. Just come up with a plan. That she threw her hands up and said, come up with a plan, present it to me, I'll take it to upper management. Well, during that time, I privately messaged her on Microsoft Teams. There's a plug for a product that you probably don't use.
Microsoft Teams?
Microsoft Teams, it's great for video chatting and inter-office meetings. It's a good platform. I don't normally promote big tech company stuff, but it's a very useful platform. I sent her a message saying that at our company picnic last month, where we met in person, just us at a park, we still had to mask up even though we were outside and socially distant. After the supervisors left, we sat around just trading war stories about working from home. And some people used words like walkout and others used words like unionization. And I think you really need to take this more seriously because this is not what we signed up for. And her response, and it took her 11 minutes because the 3 dots when somebody's typing, to say the same shit to me in writing form that she had said to us months earlier in a video conference. Change can be difficult, and it's even worse when you don't have any control or can't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's politician speak if I ever heard it.
Yeah, and at the end she's just like, I'm just glad that we haven't had to do any furloughs in our department through all this. Which translates to, be happy you still got a fucking job.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
So I told everybody she said that after our fucking meeting. And the throwing her hands up and give us a plan, whatever. That killed morale. Like it was already floundering. It killed morale completely. Everybody saw her for this robotic, emotionless bitch that she really is, which is sad. Because when she ran the other department, she was just a lady that sat in her office on her headset and talked too goddamn loud all the time. But she was bubbly. She was fun. She lost everything that she was. I said something in the beginning of September to the same direct supervisor from the meeting in August who called her, to jump onto the meeting. I said, here's the deal. Here's my issues with her. Here's my issues with her management style. In June, I told her everything that's been going on at my house and with my kids. She just stared blankly at me. I got no real response. And that direct supervisor just said, yeah, she does kind of speak somewhat like a politician. I'm like, if that's your retort, that's not good enough for me. All right, she seems to give 0 fucks about us. Wouldn't you know it that about 2 hours later, I got a call from the big boss, and she was so concerned about me and just was glad that I felt comfortable sharing my feelings, because what they tried to do is give me a brand new case. It would have been very labor intensive, and I said, can I please not have this? They're like, why? You know all I have going on at home, and you're going to give me a case that is two-pronged. I can't really get into specifics, but you'd be managing the person and their financials. I'm like, you have to do a bunch of that shit in person. You're not letting us do it in person. I'm already way behind all the time, and you want to give me a new case that is going to take energy away from my other cases I'm trying to deal with, and a handful of them are in critical mode right now and need my attention. My work is going to suffer. Something's going to slip through the cracks. Let's not do this. So my boss praised me for having the reticence to admit I'm overwhelmed and say I can't take this before they give it to me, and then it becomes a problem. And I'm not on video. She's on video. Like, she called my work phone. I'm sitting in the car. I was taking the kids to the park because I'm like, fuck work today. And she's like, my heart goes out to you for everything with your kids. I can't believe she couldn't feel the eye roll. Because at one point I pulled the phone away from my ear like, is this bitch for real? As I'm looking at her, but she can't see me because I'm only on audio. So I flipped her the bird. And the juice is like, oh, Daddy. I'm like, shh. I get off the phone with her. And I'm like, what a condescending cunt. Only when I talk about what an insensitive bitch you are to somebody else, and then they obviously ran right to you, you call me to say how concerned you are and how proud of me you are. What, to save face? I don't need your fucking attaboy. That was the beginning of September. 2 weeks later, we're having our monthly meeting, and they say, we're going to start reviewing the financial cases more often with you guys. We would go through our caseloads every other month and review the progress of each client. Every time we did that, it would take anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours. Those are hours that I'm working, but I'm not accomplishing anything towards getting caught up. So, shot. Anytime we have our monthly meeting, 3 hours. Shot. Mandatory process group with somebody that used to work in our office that's now a shrink that would let the grunt level staff vent about work. It was supposed to help morale. Only during the pandemic, all we did was bitch about how stressed we were and how fucking much of a toll it was taking on us. Mandatory. Another hour. Shot. So now we're going to review the financial cases every month. And there's another hour to 2 hours. Shot. When the fuck are we supposed to ever get all the way caught up? How can you tell us to make sure that we balance home life with work and enjoy our time off if we're always so far behind the 8 ball that it's like panic attack inducing? I had so much anxiety. I cannot tell you. I have been out of work for a month. My stress level is at an incredible low. If it wasn't for
the beast,
if I had a baby mama for my other 2 kids that wasn't such a drama queen, I'd be so golden right now.
You bitch!
I did it smart. I've been saving money for years. I can take a month or 2 off. So I've been applying for shit. But social work, I can't do anymore.
I wouldn't try it, no.
So I was typing up an email because I said, fuck this shit. I'm going to quit. And I would communicate all day long with my coworkers on Microsoft Teams. We'd check in, just banter some. And I said, enough of this shit. I'm going to quit. I've been talking about it for months. I'm going to put my fucking notice in. And I kind of typed up a quick something and put it in the chat group of just us, not the supervisors. I'm like, what do you guys think of this? It was a lot. Holy fucking Christ. I don't mean a lot in terms of the length of it. I mean, I didn't say, I no longer can handle this position, blah, blah, blah. I'm choosing to put in my resignation with my last date being this. And thank you for the opportunity, but I'm going to move on to something less stressful. Like, I didn't fucking make it namby-pamby at all. I fucking, holy shit, right out of the gate.
If you did that, that'd be a total letdown on my part.
Yeah. So I told them I was going to do it. I showed them what I was going to write. Everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, good. I don't think they believed I was going to do it. So in another chat window with one of the direct supervisors, not my direct supervisor, the other one, the same gal that I bitched to about the big boss, the same one that got the big boss involved in the meeting, I included 2 names. I'm like, should I include so-and-so and our CEO in the email? She's like, what? I'm like, oops, wrong window. And she goes, that's ominous. I just replied with, yeah, probably a good thing you guys interviewed so many people for that open position. She's like, I don't know how to respond to that. I'm like, I don't know how you can respond to it. I hate this job now. I'm sick of it. I'm done. I'm putting in my notice. She's like, oh, well, I'm sorry. Because one thing I left out. A month before I lost my shit, and I was on the verge of a nervous breakdown, honestly. Well, probably the 3rd one, because I had 2 other nervous breakdowns at this job. I just fucking soldiered on through them. Anyway, so here's how my email started. I have reached the point of habitual burnout. I can no longer do this job because the workload is ungodly. I have a lot of responsibility at home, but the problem is that when I'm done with this job, I have nothing left for the people that need me. My kids. I'm anxious all the time and on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I'm angry all the time because I never feel like I can relax because the workload never ends. This is not a job for somebody with kids. $40,000 a year is not an adequate amount of pay for all that you ask us to do. It's actually quite insulting. And furthermore, whoever rated this company as a top workplace in Minnesota clearly hasn't worked in this department before because things have gone off the rails. So this is my 2-week notice. My final day will be September 30th. I sent it off. I messaged my direct supervisor. Like, I'm putting my notice. And she's like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. She's like, I'm going to need that in writing. I'm like, I already sent you the email. Well, apparently the email, I CC'd the 2 direct supervisors, our main area big boss, and her boss. So they called me an hour and a half later, and I was just kind of in shock. Like, holy shit, I finally did it. I wasn't like nervous about what comes next as much as I was just like relieved. Like, I don't have to deal with this shit anymore. That's fucking awesome. I don't know where I'm going to work, but this is fucking awesome. They call me. They say, we're going to come to your house. We will be there at 3:30. Like, what do you mean? They've accepted your resignation, but they want to make it for today. What? So I'm fired? They're like, no. No, they accepted your resignation, but they just don't want to drag it out. So me and the big boss, we're going to come to your house. We'll pick up all your stuff. And they did. And from the time at the end of that phone call until they got there, I was frantically trying to catch up on as much of my billing as I could. So I could have sat back and been like, well, fuck them for fucking me. This feels personal. I worked my ass off for 2.5 hours. Like, I haven't worked that diligently in months. And I had so many phone calls and emails I hadn't billed for. So when they show up, they come in, and my direct supervisor's like, oh, I recognize this room, because video conferencing all the time. They'd see part of my kitchen. That's where I worked. And the big boss, I'm like, so I just have to ask, why would you make it effective today? Why would you not let me finish out the 2 weeks so that I can get all the work caught up and make this as smooth of a transition for you and the next person as humanly possible? And her response was, well, just the language in your email, it seemed like so serious that we didn't want to drag it out for 10 more days. We just figured it was easier to do this. I'm like, I got to say, I'm a little offended, because the whole time since I got the phone call that you were coming here, I've been working my ass off trying to play catch up. I'm like, look at this. I got 2.5 pages in my notebook of phone calls that I haven't billed for, plus my voicemails I can't access to bill for, plus emails. She's like, well, we'll take care of billing it. I'm like, oh, really? You're going to drop this on somebody else? I'm like, okay. And I'm ripping my pages out of my notebook to give to them. You do realize all these notes are written in shorthand. She's like, well, we'll try to figure it out. I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. And I put them inside my laptop with my to-do list that I'd made. I shut that bitch. I put it all together. I handed it to them. They left.
Bye, Felicia.
At no time did they say when my final check would be cut. Address the situation with my PTO. I didn't think to print out a check stub, because paperless, right? Mm-hmm. It's all in Kronos, this program we use to check our pay stubs and print them and monitor our benefits and then ask for time off. They just took my shit and drove away. So I texted my boss, my direct supervisor. I'm like, nobody said anything about my PTO. Will it all be in your final check? When's that going to come? I don't know. Okay, I still have a mileage sheet that I didn't submit for that errand you needed me to run last week, where I checked on 2 people's houses. 1, to see if the guy's still alive, and 2, to monitor an empty property to make sure it's not, damaged from storms. Oh, well, I'll enter that for you. What's the date? How many miles? So I told her. I didn't hear shit. That was the 16th. The 25th of September, I get paid like a regular paycheck. I'm like, what the fuck? I email HR. We will look into it. I didn't hear shit for almost 2 weeks. I'm like, hey, HR, I explained everything to you. I asked for 2 weeks. They let me end that day. Nobody has given me a copy of my final pay stub. I don't know what I had accrued for hours of PTO. I haven't gotten my PTO. You paid me like a regular paycheck. What the hell's going on? I got kids that I have a court order to maintain benefits on. I don't know when my health insurance is going to end. And they get back to me. And get this, they get back to me on the 7th of October. You'll get your final check with your remaining PTO balance. You'll have to talk to your direct supervisor about your mileage check. Your benefits were good through the end of September. Well, good thing I didn't take care of a bunch of shit I could have taken care of on my health insurance before it was up. Like taking the juice to the orthodontist, sending my 2 kids to their fucking therapist one more time, getting the juice and needed eye appointment because she says she's got blurry vision. Like a bunch of shit that could have gotten done, that should have gotten done by the beast months ago. Like, fuck that company and fuck all they do.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Now, here's the silver lining in all of this. Me leaving like that. You know the scene in Jerry Maguire when he's like, I'm leaving and who's coming with me?
Yeah.
My friend that worked there that helped get me that job, she had been there 4 years. She finds another job, puts in her notice. 2 other people are looking for work. Somebody that had been there for 10 years just put in her notice last week. The main worker in the trust fund section of the office put in their notice. They are down so many fucking people. Like, they were going to hire somebody to replace the gal they fired. No, they slid her into my spot and gave her my cases. They figure, fuck it. She can start off learning on the fly from home with 44 clients. But yeah, I mean, my heart goes out to my coworkers that are still there. All of them seem to be at the breaking point. There's very little hope and morale in that office. And it's just like, wow, did I start something here? Because I guess me doing that really opened some people's eyes. I don't know if they said, well, it seems like he flipped the fuck out and left. I don't know what they said. But it started something.
Probably just realized that you voiced what they've been feeling. They just didn't realize it.
Well, that's the thing, is I quit without a job lined up. The gal that was there for 4 years had a job lined up. The 10-year vet, she doesn't have another job lined up. She's going to go apply at Costco.
Well, I think you were planning on finding a job in those 2 weeks, but...
No, that's the thing. You're so busy, you can't even fucking sit there and have time to look for new jobs. It's just a never-ending shit show. And social work sucks my dick. I want no part of it anymore. I got into it because I'm passionate about working with people with disabilities. Maybe I'll go get a job working somewhere with people with disabilities where I don't have to do what I was doing.
I think you need a job like mine.
I really would love to have something mindless where I just work with my hands and then at the end of the day I punch out and then I'm done. What? You're giving me a look.
Mindless? My work isn't mindless.
I'm not saying that any retard can do it. I'm saying that if you had any idea the amount of thought processes that were going on in my head at any given moment for that
what
fucking
you were
job.
Doing? Yeah, I couldn't do it.
By
I already know I
comparison.
couldn't do it. I can't do that office shit. I can't work with people. I cannot work with handicapped people. I can barely manage my own children.
Yeah. But really, the workload is just crushing people. And they've got multiple offices across this state where they have tons of people now looking for other jobs. Like, they got a real problem going on. And good for them. They did it to themselves.
They did.
So I'm going to weigh my options. I'm going to see what I can do. I've been out of work for a month. I've really gotten the swing of this. Waking up at 8:30, getting the kids ready, and then just exercising, jumping in the shower at like noon, 1 p.m. And then, oh, God, it's the afternoon.
Now what?
Yeah, I guess I'll make lunch for people, and then they'll finish up their schoolwork, and then we'll just hang out. It's fucking great, especially when we're about to probably go into another lockdown. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/ What Do We Call It? Podcast Shoe. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
And that's the end.